So here we have today in the Old Testament the book of Isaiah, specifically chapter 40, verse 3. And it's about a prophecy of the coming of Jesus. And I'm reading out of the NLT here. It says, "Listen, it is the voice of someone shouting, clear the way through the wilderness for the Lord. Make a straight highway through the wasteland for God." So why is this so? It's because when a famous person shows up, usually the person, when they're famous or super important, they don't ever show up on the scene and say, "Hey, here I am, that's what my name is." In this case, God himself, he sent a forerunner to say, "Hey, God's coming, make way the path of our God." And down in verse 9, it says, "O Zion, messenger of good news, shout from the mountaintops, shout it louder, O Jerusalem, shout, and do not be afraid. Tell the towns of Judah, your God is coming." It's chapter 40, verse 9. And here we have in chapter 1 of John in the New Testament, and let me read it also out of the NLT. It says, "John replied in the words of the prophet Isaiah, I am a voice shouting in the wilderness, clear the way for the Lord's coming. Though his ministry follows mine, I'm not even worthy to be his slave," and untied the straps of his sandal. That's what he knew about the coming Messiah, which, well, as Isaiah said, that's God. And in verse 29 of chapter 1 of John, the next day John saw Jesus coming toward him and said, "Look, the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world." He's like, that's him. Or so what I said a while back about also in Isaiah chapter 9. In chapter 1, verse 1, it literally says, as another title of Jesus, was the Word. It says the Word was God. Right at the bottom of that verse in 1:1 of John. And also in verse 14 of the same chapter, it literally says, "So the Word became human." God became human. You didn't have to decode that. It says that in pretty plain English.